Holy shit. How's it going, everybody? This is Phil. Here we are, and it's the end of September, and for just about anybody not named Kathleen Kennedy, this is pretty bad news. And look, I understand that there's a large enough group of people out there who, for whatever reason, liked The Last Jedi, and they're just willing to take whatever's thrown at them. But for the other large portion of fans, this was a pivotal moment in the train of thought, thinking that we were going to start to move forward, officially start moving forward with Lucasfilm. And I think for a lot of people, this is really a step back. It kind of signifies a level of tone deafness on Disney's part, whether or not they're just looking at the numbers and they don't really have their ear to the ground, which a lot of people think is what Marvel does. They kind of listen and react to what the fan base says, and that allows them to move forward and kind of evolve and create movies that are universally satisfying, as opposed to polarizing, to whereas they'll take their chances with the half of the audience that likes it, and the other half can just go to hell. So this was I don't know if it was a surprise necessarily. It was more of a disappointment on my part, because these types of things, they tend to happen just when you think you have it all figured out. Just when you think you have all the answers, they go and change the questions. Now the question remains, why is Disney doing this, or why did they come to this conclusion? Well, look, Kathleen Kennedy, I guess within this, certain circles in Hollywood, her name still carries a lot of clout. She is well respected because of her resume. People who are her peers probably look at the numbers. Now, the data will tell you that The Force Awakens was a huge success, and it was a box office success by every count. It's one of the rarefied movies to make over $2 billion at the global box office. So that's a feather in her cap. Rogue One was a well-received Star Wars movie, well-received by the fans, well-received by critics, and it made over $1 billion, and it was not part of the overall Skywalker saga. And The Last Jedi, as bad as a lot of people believe that movie to be, and I am one of them. I despise that movie. The numbers, the misleading numbers, will indicate that the movie was a success. Now, it was a success by the standards that it covered its budget for production and marketing, and it turned a profit. But it earned a third less at the box office than The Force Awakens did, and it had a significant drop off in its second week in the box office. So once word of mouth got out, that movie, after several weeks, just kind of limped its way across the $1.3 billion finish line. And again, that movie, it's fool's gold. As far as that box office is concerned, like I said, it's hard to wrap your head around something that makes $1 billion and still being a disappointment in a sense. But if you look at the numbers, you have a $2 billion movie and then two $1 billion plus movies. Solo was an anomaly, and because it's the only Star Wars movie to fail, in this Disney era of Star Wars movies, where the movies seem to come out in rapid succession, they could point to Star Wars fatigue as an excuse. And that's what a lot of these shill sites like to do. And a lot of the people that are in Camp Kennedy like to also point to it's Star Wars fatigue. It wasn't a boycott. It wasn't fans being upset with The Last Jedi and trying to make a point. It was the fact that the general audience didn't want to go and see this movie because The Last Jedi was released 5 minutes, it felt like 5 minutes, 5 months prior. So they'll look at her box office receipts and they'll say, you know what? All right, she had one misfire and maybe that's on us. And Bob Iger, in that recent article, he fell on the sword for Kathleen Kennedy. He took it upon himself as a leader to say this was my decision. He took the fire for her. He stepped in front of the crosshairs and he took the shot for her. And this to me seems like a lot of posturing. It seems like for Disney and Bob Iger to jettison her from Lucasfilm would almost seem like they're trying to avoid bad press. Today the way things are, God forbid you fire somebody just based off of merit or lack thereof. It doesn't matter, because if it's, Kathleen Kennedy was a strong female, people are going to turn around and say, well, that's not right, this and that. So it almost seems like Disney's playing this game. She gets her Academy Award. They give her a 3-year extension. She gets to retire 3 years. In that span of time, you're going to have, in the next year, in the next 15 months, you'll have episode 9. And then she'll only have a little more than a year and a half to go by the time the next movie comes out, which we don't even know definitively what that is going to be. And she'll be on board for maybe one more movie, okay, as far as that's concerned. Now, the question remains to be seen, is that movie that she's on board for, that comes after episode 9, is that the first installment to the Rian Johnson trilogy? Does Rian Johnson still have a job with Disney? That we don't know. And that's something else that remains to be seen. Does Kathleen Kennedy internally act as a figurehead that basically signs the dotted line, signs the checks, and works in a executive administrative capacity where now creative decisions clandestinely are in the hands of Dave Filoni and perhaps Jon Favreau and other creative types? Has she been taken out of the creative process? Now, these things are they're all internal, and at this point, any inside sources, to me, I take with a grain of salt completely, because anybody who claimed to have any inside working knowledge of what was going on, it all turned out to be bullshit. So here we are, 3 more years of Kathleen Kennedy. It's just, it's crazy. And then, there's also talk of now Disney concentrating more on TV and their streaming service and the Jon Favreau television series. And, movies seem to be kind of something that, not that they're not going to be producing any, but right now, there's no real solid indication of what the next movie is going to be. We only know that we are going to get the Clone Wars and we're going to get the Jon Favreau live-action television show on their streaming service. And if they're going to kind of let Kathleen Kennedy, for the remainder of her 3 years there, hang her hat on that, it almost feels like, to me, like when you ground a kid for doing something bad and then you send them to their room. But in their room, they have video games and they have toys and, they have their cell phone and they have their tablet. And, really, are you really punishing them? So, she screwed up, but she keeps her job. And they send it to a room, which will be the streaming service. And then they'll let, other people who are creative deal with the movies, theatrical releases. So what that does is it insulates her from the box office and any further failures. We all knew episode 9 was coming. If the next movie comes out towards the end of her 3-year tenure here that she has left, whether it fails or succeeds, and this is the last 3 years that she's here, it doesn't matter as far as she's concerned. And over the span of the next 3 years, if she primarily works on television, then the subscription base of the streaming service is going to insulate her from any type of box office backlash or failure at the box office. So she wouldn't have to deal with and put up with any type of ridicule, and the quality of the shows is what primarily will be judged, what that product will be judged on. It won't be judged on box office alone. There's a lot of people who say that they like Solo, even though it performed poorly at the box office, and people who boycotted it saw it afterwards and they didn't think it was that bad. So there might be a little bit of this having your ear to the ground, keeping her on. Maybe the train of thought is that she could be a little bit of a liability at the box office. We're probably really not going to get to see the fallout from this, the full extent of it. Fans are going to boycott episode 9. This is going to embolden them, and I think it's just a really peculiar thing to me, to this type of choice that is made to keep her on board. Like I said, we don't know what this holds for the Johnson trilogy. We know D&D are going to get their trilogy, and from that, after that, really, what do we know? Maybe we're going to get an Obi-Wan movie. Maybe James Mangold is going to come in and do Boba Fett. But there just seems to be a lot of what ifs floating around in the air now, and I can't imagine her having a lot of slack. That I would think that creatively, I would at least hope that she's more on a tighter leash, and that she just can't run wild like she was before, with these types of creative choices, if you want to call them creative choices, to implement certain ideological themes and agendas and political stances and whatever was going on. And again, we don't know because we're not in the middle of all of this. And the people who seem to be in the know, they've proven not to know anything. So, this is a mystery wrapped in a riddle in the middle of an enigma, and nobody can get anything straight. So, look, that's really what's going on. I was going to kind of get into this article. I wasn't going to read the Hollywood Reporter because everyone seems to have jumped on that. I came over here to Stefan Curiazis because I enjoy reading his articles, because he's on board with the quote-unquote fandom menace, and it's just fun reading his articles and goofing on him when he makes spelling mistakes. But look, I've kind of gone long enough just talking about this topic, and I think we're going to cover everything that would have been in this article anyway. Just to scroll through it. Last Jedi, blah blah blah. We talked about all of this. Bob Iger, movie. The movie is a vote of confidence in Kennedy, who took command of Lucasfilm after Disney's $4 billion acquisition and oversaw the relaunch. So, I don't think it's so much a vote of confidence as it is they really just couldn't find a suitable replacement, and anybody who had the talent and the chops and the ability to be a suitable replacement also had the scruples to say no, because she shit in this bed so bad and stained those that Star Wars bed sheet that nobody wanted to take it to the wash and try to clean it up. So now there might be a slow cleansing over the next 3 years to kind of change things out piece by piece. So we'll see what happens. I gotta live another 3 years to see the end of this. I mean, this is exhausting. I feel like the last 6-7 months, I feel like I've aged 3 years. I don't know. I'm gonna feel about 70 years old when this is all said and done, when she leaves. So, all right. I mean, that's it. We've all kind of been through this. So I will ask you guys, how do you feel about this? I mean, I'm just kind of terribly disappointed. But this is the way it seems to be going, and we'll see what happens with what we get. What's going to come out. The movies and the television shows and the animated shows and everything else. I mean, it really is just a tone-deaf decision on my part. And I like Bob Iger, but I think this is a bad decision. But listen, again, by all accounts, he was looking to get her out, but could not find a suitable replacement. So, if you're going to go below Kathleen Kennedy, if you're going to choose somebody who's less suitable, I'd rather dance with the devil I know, and then they could just veto her if she's going to make wacky decisions. That they're probably going to be scrutinizing more of her choices moving forward. So she'll be in place, and she'll sign some documents and paperwork, and if something wacky happens or some bad choices are made, hopefully somebody steps in and says, no, Kathleen, we don't do this anymore. This is how these things are handled. So up until the point that she walks out the door, retires, or whatever she's going to do, this is what we're going to kind of have to deal with. So what do you guys think about this wacky, crazy friggin' news? I just, part of me just can't believe it. I feel bad for this guy, because he got screwed in The Last Jedi. And, it's over after episode 9 for him. He's done. He'll make guest appearances on, Big Bang Theory and whatever. Anyway, I'm interested in knowing how you guys feel about this. I'm pretty certain if you're on my channel, I have an idea. But I always welcome the comments. People have great points of view, and love to hear from my subscribers who come here and comment. And it's always fun talking to you guys. And I really appreciate everybody who participates on this channel. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, man, please hit that like button and comment down below. If it's your first time here, feel free to please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. You'll be notified the next time I post a video. And just hang in there, guys. I mean, look, Transformers looks good. It looks like it looks like they finally got the point over there on that end of those, that franchise. So maybe we'll have to shift my attention over to that going forward. Anyway, until next time, be happy, be safe, be healthy. May the Force be with you. May the Force be with all of us, because we're definitely going to need it. Take care, guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.